A racist cop tried to show his power, but he didn't expect to be facing a U.S. Army colonel. Angela Carter was driving down Highway 285, cutting through the arid stretches of New Mexico. It was just past 7 a.m. Not a single car in sight, only sand, dry bushes, and the occasional road sign for motels and gas stations. In the car, silence, except for the hum of the tires and the faint crackle of a military radio she kept on out of habit. She was officially off duty, but a colonel in the U.S. Army doesn't disconnect easily. Over 20 years of service, deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, commendations for leadership, medals for valor. She was headed home from a leadership seminar in Albuquerque. Her presentation had gone well, but all she could think about was seeing her teenage son, waiting for her back in Austin. The road looked asleep under the morning sun until the flashing red and blue lights appeared in the rearview mirror. Angela sighed. She pulled to the side, turned off the engine, and placed her hands on the wheel. By the book. The patrol car stopped behind her. A door slammed. A tall white man in uniform approached. Officer Niels. No greeting, no badge, no explanation. "Step out of the vehicle, ma'am," he said flatly. "Good morning, officer," Angela replied calmly. "May I ask why I've been pulled over?" "I said, step out, now." She looked straight ahead. His tone wasn't regulation. It was threatening. "I have the right to know why I'm being stopped. If I violated a law, please tell me which one." He stepped closer, looming. "You match the description of someone we're looking for. That's enough. Step out." "You haven't shown ID given your name or stated probable cause. And now you're reaching for your weapon." She tilted her phone just enough to show the camera recording. He paused. "Last chance, Lieutenant," he sneered, using the wrong rank deliberately. "Get out on your own, or I'll remove you." Angela didn't move. She knew what this was. She wasn't just a woman in a car. She was a black woman, alone in the desert, being challenged by a man with a badge and a gun, and the confidence that no one would question his story. This was no longer routine. This was a setup. Officer Niels circled the car, tapped on the window with his baton, not hard, but with intent. Angela sat motionless. "I said step out. You've got 3 seconds. 1. My camera is recording. I'm not resisting. I'm seated in my own vehicle, calmly requesting you follow protocol. For the record, I am Colonel Angela Carter, active duty U.S. Army." He flinched. "Oh, you're one of those. Think your uniform puts you above the law?" "I believe in law, including the part where officers follow it. Identify yourself and your precinct." He didn't answer. He leaned in through the open window, voice low and sharp. "You're suspected of transporting illegal substances. That's reason enough." "That's false. My plates are clean and you know it. I'm requesting a supervisor." Niels pounded the roof of her vehicle. "You want to play smart?" He stomped back to his cruiser and started speaking rapidly into his radio. Angela heard resisting, possibly armed, threat. His eyes flicked nervously. He wasn't asking for backup. He was staging justification. Angela understood. This was escalating. He wanted to frame her. She activated a second camera, one hidden in her glasses, and started a live backup stream. Too many stories started this way. Too many ended here on roads where only one voice was believed. Her breath slowed. She wasn't scared anymore. She was focused. Then he put on tactical gloves, reinforced knuckles, a signal. She quietly unbuckled her seatbelt, inhaled, centered herself. He approached. He wasn't coming to talk. Niels yanked the door. It was locked. He punched the window. "Open up! Now!" Calmly, Angela replied, "You are violating my civil rights. I am not resisting. This is being recorded." "You think you're special?" he spat. "Because of your uniform? That don't mean nothing out here." He drew his baton and hit the glass once, then again. Not enough to break it, but enough to send a message. A truck appeared in the distance. A semi. It slowed as it approached, driver watching. Niels tensed but didn't back off. "You've got 5 seconds to open this door," he said, pulling out a taser. "Or I'll bust it in and drag you out." Angela unlocked the doors. If he was going to use force, let it be visible and recorded. She would not be a prisoner in her own car. He flung the door open and grabbed her arm. "Get out!" Angela moved fast. A wrist lock. Leverage. He didn't expect her to fight back. She turned him, dropped her weight, and used a clean, controlled takedown. No unnecessary pain. No panic. He hit the ground hard. She stood over him. Calm. Breath steady. Eyes locked. "Officer Niels," she said, "you have violated protocol, used excessive force, and attempted unlawful detainment. You are now immobilized. Do not get up." His face twisted with disbelief, fury, fear. Tires screeched behind them. The semi had stopped. A young truck driver jumped out, filming. "I saw the whole thing. He attacked her. I got it all." Angela nodded. Niels lunged. She moved fluidly, neutralizing him again, this time with a secure hold. He was face down in the dirt. "You're under citizen's arrest," she said. "Anything you say can be used against you. Your words, remember?" His own radio crackled. "Dispatch to Unit 17, requesting status update. Backup en route, confirm situation." Angela picked it up. "This is Colonel Angela Carter, U.S. Army. Officer Niels attempted unlawful force. He is subdued. Request immediate backup, with cameras." There was silence. Then, "Copy that. Units inbound." The desert road was no longer silent. 10 minutes later, a second patrol car arrived. 2 women stepped out, Sergeant Joan Carroll and Officer Espinoza. Angela stood beside her car. Niels was still seated on the ground, clutching his shoulder. Sergeant Carroll approached. "Colonel Carter, we received your call. Are you stating that Officer Niels assaulted you?" Angela answered evenly. "It's all recorded. 2 devices, a witness. His behavior was illegal. I acted in self-defense within my rights." Carol turned to the trucker. He showed her the footage. She stepped aside, watched it, and returned with a frozen expression. "He claimed you were armed? That's a lie. There is no weapon in my car. You're welcome to search." "We will." Niels shouted. "She attacked me." She resisted. She was aggressive from the start. "We saw the footage," Espinoza snapped. "You lied on the radio. That's serious." He went quiet. Carol looked at Angela. "You followed every rule. Your record speaks for itself. Thank you for handling this without further escalation." Angela nodded. "I did only what I had to. You coming with us?" "I'll stay to complete the report. Then I'm heading home. My son's waiting." She wasn't just a soldier, not just a woman who defended herself. She was a person who stood her ground when no one expected her to. And she didn't have to raise her voice to win. 3 days later, Angela returned to Austin. At the gates of Fort Cavazos, her unit greeted her, alongside reporters and flashing cameras. She ignored the media. Her focus was on her son, walking beside her, confused but proud. The Department of Defense had already issued a statement calling her response a model of restraint and lawful conduct under pressure. Her command sent a formal complaint to local law enforcement demanding full investigation. Angela avoided the spotlight. She didn't want to be a symbol, but the public had made her one. Niels was suspended. His body cam had been turned off. Internal review confirmed protocol violations, false reporting, and excessive force. The county prosecutor opened a criminal case. His lawyers tried to spin the incident. Stress, confusion, misjudgment. But the evidence and the public were against him. 1 week later, Angela gave her only interview, not to a major network, but to a small YouTube channel focused on police reform. "Why didn't you back down when it got dangerous?" the young reporter asked. "Because too many before me did," she said. "If I let him humiliate me, I'd be telling the world it's okay. It's not." "Were you scared?" "Yes. But fear isn't a reason to surrender to injustice." The interview went viral. One quote echoed everywhere. "I wasn't just defending myself. I was defending the idea that law should stand above emotion, above skin color, above rank. Just above." Activists shared her face on posters. Lawmakers cited her case during debates on police reform. Young women in uniform sent letters. "You showed me that my strength isn't in my fists, but in my dignity." That summer, she received a national award for civilian courage. At the ceremony, she said, "This isn't about a soldier taking down a cop. It's about a person who refused to be broken. If we want change, we can't just talk about it. We have to stand for it, even if we stand alone." Epilogue. Truckers now refer to that stretch of road unofficially as Carter Highway. Some write it on their bumpers. Others mark it on signs. Niels was fired. Angela still serves, preparing for her next mission. And now, when she puts on her uniform, young recruits approach her. Not for advice, but to simply say, "Thank you, ma'am."